Hello, I know I haven't posted very much. So I'm no longer at the hospital I was at before. Hang on, I don't like seeing my mouth. I need a mask. Oh, it's right here, okay. And yes, I'm on oxygen. I'll explain that in a minute. So, um, I'm no longer at that hospital. I got transferred to a facility. Um, it was like a mental health rehab place. It was in Carlsbad, and then my bleeding started from my Crohn's, and they kicked me out because of it. And I'm also diabetic now. So as if that wasn't enough, that's added onto it. So this might be a long video. I'm not sure yet. It's currently 2:32 a.m. Um, and so I came to the ER with vomiting blood, rectal bleed, and the reason why I haven't posted is because so far I have had 3 or 4 colonoscopies. I've had, I think, 2 endoscopies, which, by the way, the prep is brutal. For those who don't know, they can also do Miralax for those preps. Yeah, I did 14 packets of Miralax, and I had to drink it in under 2 hours. It was not. So yeah, that happened, and then also a medical surgery tomorrow. I did get my gallbladder removed, which that's not what's bothering me right now. Right now, my intestine comes out. It physically comes out and prolapses. And we've tried to fix this like twice. So, well, in 2 different ways. The first way was special injection that scars the tissue so it doesn't, or so the theory is, it would keep it from coming out. Obviously, that didn't work. As soon as I got home from the procedure, it came out again. So then we waited as long as we could because it's very painful. Now, I know some of you are like, oh, it doesn't have pain nerves, so how do you feel it? That's not what's hurting. I can't say it on YouTube, but that is not what's hurting. Not at all. Okay. Um, but I will say, when I turned 18, sorry, my camera's shaking. I went to Coronado Hospital, and yeah, they operated without cutting me open, which was good. It was more painful in my opinion. Um, so yeah, they did do surgery. Everything was going well. But then I started to go septic, and with me being as stubborn as I am, I was like, oh, I don't need a CT, I'm fine. Just post, just post anesthesia, it's fine. But then I started to get pregnant, like bun in the oven, like distended. So I thought, okay, maybe I'll get dumb. But then I'm like, no, because the last time I was in a CT, I had a panic attack and it was not fun. I had a pseudo seizure. I don't want to go through that again. So I kept refusing it. And finally, the hospital's like, what do we need to give you to get it done? I'm like, you're not bribing me into doing this. And they're like, we will give you medication. Just can we do it? I said, no. So they came back the next day. They said, okay, we need to do this now. It's getting worse. Like, it was like I had a bowl, like a mixing bowl on my stomach. Finally, I said, fine. but I'll need something to calm me down because I don't want to have a panic attack in there. And they're like, we'll give you some Benadryl and some Ativan and you'll be okay. I'm like, okay. So they gave me that through the IV, which I don't remember much of that scan. But what I do remember, now keep in mind, this was on Sunday at like 3 a.m. And I remember waiting and waiting and waiting for the results. And my nurse came in and said, oh, we need you to sign some paperwork. And I was like, that's a little odd. Am I getting blood? And then before my nurse could say anything, a gurney pulled up to my room. And that's when I knew I was like, I am getting surgery again, aren't I? And they said, yeah. And I said, what did the CT show? And basically, where they had sutured my prolapse to my abdominal wall, it ripped my abdominal wall in half. And I didn't notice the pain because I was pumped up on Dilaudid. Um, and I was like, so what's gonna happen now? It's a Sunday. Can we wait till tomorrow? And they said, if we don't get you into the OR within 24 hours, you may not make it out of this hospital alive. And I was like, shit. And I'm like, but what about my surgeon? Is there like an on-call surgeon that's here? And they're like, no, your surgeon's coming in about 45 minutes, but we need to get you prepped. So they did. They prepped me. They gave me, I was getting IV Tylenol around the clock. They put 2 liters of fluids on. I coughed in the gurney, went to the OR, and I asked the surgeon, I said, what are you going to do? How are you going to fix this? And he said, well, since we waited longer and we didn't catch this sooner, I'm going to have to give you an ileostomy. And I've always had bad luck with ileostomies. I had a bully at Countryside Apartments, and he would shoot BB guns at it. He would act like I was some infected disease that was contagious. He treated me like shit. He turned my friends away from me, and his parents never punished him for it. So, yeah, but I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, so he gave me an ileostomy, and I said, give me a PCA, because you are gonna need to give me pain meds. I'm not taking it no Q 4 hours. I was like, no, I want you to do it like a PCA. I would like a PCA. And he's like, okay, I'll give you a PCA. So he did that, and I was in the hospital for about a couple weeks. But that was to attempt to fix the prolapse. So now, tomorrow, I have a meeting with the surgeon, and that surgeon is going to see what they can do. Now, there's a certain surgery that we haven't tried that I'd really want to give a shot. You know, some of my doctors don't want to give it a shot just because of the risks. Like, the risks of it aren't pretty. Um, I'm sorry, I might cry. This is like hard. They would put a synthetic man-made mesh inside of me, which means they would have to cut me open as far as I know and put it in. So it's our last resort. And the worst part is, I've been here since the 26th of November. It's the 16th of 2020 of February 2023. And now they're looking at county funded nursing care. Because every single time I go to new facilities, I bleed, they kick me out. And if they don't operate, then I guess it's just gonna keep coming out until it becomes a life or death situation. So, yes. Um, but anyways, I'm gonna explain what's going on now. So currently I am on scheduled narcotics and muscle relaxants. The pain is so bad that when I don't have the medication, 4 liters of oxygen because I can't bear the pain. And it's like the pain is so bad. I'm getting tramadol and Flexeril, 75 milligrams of tramadol with 10 milligrams of Flexeril. For those who don't know, Flexeril is a muscle relaxant. It relaxes the skeletal muscles and all that kind of stuff. And they just changed both those meds to scheduled at the same time after I eat. So yes, but I don't know. I really don't know. I am gonna survive this. I don't care what I have to do. Although I say that, but I have a form that explains my end of life decisions. I'm not dying though. I'm not going to hospice. That's not happening yet. But it will happen eventually. If I keep bleeding like this. I know. So that's why I filled out what's called a pulsed form. Um, it's basically only for the hospital system, like their hospitals, the same company. I'm not gonna say where I am, but I I wanted to sign a DNR, not to give up, but because I have coded and I know exactly what that feels like. I'm gonna give you guys like a breakdown of. So I'm gonna share my PTSD with you guys. This is. I need to get it out. So, okay, I don't even know where to start. I've had, since I was 5 years old, I've been dealing with this. So I don't even know where to start. I, yeah, I don't know. Okay, hang on. I really don't know where to start. I'm gonna. Oh, I know where I'll start. Malpractice. Let's just start off with that. What do you say about that? Yeah, malpractice. We're gonna talk about the malpractice that happened to me by another doctor. Yeah, okay, this is gonna get interesting. Okay, so I let me just reposition. Oof. Yeah, I'm in a new bed too. Because my other bed was like not it was so uncomfortable. My last bed was so comfortable. I'm gonna put this guy. Yeah, I had a visitor 2 days ago. Shout out to Julia. She got me this guy from the gift shop and a coffee. So that guy's just gonna. I don't know where I'm gonna stick him. Yeah, no, I'm listening to music too because I Yeah, I'm just, yeah. All right, so medical malpractice. Okay, a lot of people don't really hear about this kind of stuff because it's usually kept secret. But I was so pissed. I called KUSI News trying to get a story because I couldn't get a lawyer. So I went in to Sharp Coronado Hospital for it was actually a ileostomy. Um, so basically, what happened was after I got the ileostomy, I went to Mesa Vista just because I was homeless at the time and I didn't really like know exactly like where to go with an ileostomy, and I was having some depression, so I checked myself into Mesa Vista, and they kept me until it was time to resect, or at least attempt to resect the ileostomy, which basically that fancy word just means take down, like make it so I can go to the bathroom normally. Now, I've had those kind of operations done. I've had operations done. I was expecting, oh, I'm gonna go in, be out, it'll be all good, whatever. Oh, I can't even show the picture on YouTube. It was so bad. I woke up. The first thing I did was feel with my hand, like, is there still an ileostomy back there? There wasn't, which was good. But my incision was open, and I'm like, ma'am, I think you guys forgot to suture it closed. And they're just like, no, it'll heal within 2 weeks. And I'm like, I, I don't think that's gonna heal within 2 weeks. I think it needs like a wound vac. And I'm like, oh no, you're fine. I was like, okay, whatever. So while I was at Coronado, they got me into a case management company. I went to an independent living. Kind of the best and worst experience of my life. But I remember I was discharged to the ILF, and I felt this really sharp pain. It was a couple of days after I had gone out of the hospital, and they just had to do wet to dry dressing. I knew it wasn't going to do anything because I could see my abdominal wall, like that's how deep it was, but there was no blood. I don't know like, if that was my abdominal wall, but that's exactly what it looked like. So I wake up in the middle of the night, hearing like this wetness, like when I would turn, like a slush. It was weird. And feeling that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go take a look. I took a look and it was bleeding. So it's like in the middle of the night, and I'm like, okay, I have to call 911. So I called the homeowner and I'm like, hey, yeah, I have to go to the hospital. I'll be back. And she's like, oh, I'm gonna kick you out if you call 911. It looks bad on the house. I'm like, okay, kick me out. I'll get somewhere else to go because I have a hole in my stomach that's 3 inches big and an inch wide. If I don't go to the hospital, I will die, and it'll look even worse on the house. And then I hung up. So I get there. Well, first the ambulance comes. I lift up my shirt, and he's like, "Okay, we're gonna reroute to Scripps Mercy Level 1 trauma." And I was thinking maybe I should go. Maybe I should tell him I was at Sharp, but it didn't look like they knew how to handle it. So it's like, I'm not doing that. So I did go to Shark. They took me into Mercy, and it stopped bleeding. So they said, oh, we got the bleeding under control. It's not oozing, even like they were changing the dressing. And I'm like, okay, don't take me to trauma. I don't want to put myself through that again. So it just take me into like resource trauma. And they're like, okay. So I get in, and the nurse and the doctor comes in, I'm like, let's take a look at it. So they pull the surgical light out. I lift up my shirt, and the nurse and the doctor looked at each other like, yeah, so we need to call surgery. I was like, well, fuck. Why? Why? Like, for real. No, that pissed me off. I was like, there is no damn way I'm going into no operating room. And they're like, no, we just need them to assess you. I'm like, honey, assess me? I have a gaping hole that's 3 by 1 inch big. I'm going to the operating room tonight. And no, I didn't eat anything. So, it's like, okay, cool, I'll let them know. And then the doctor's like, are you in pain? I'm like, it's hurting, yeah. He didn't even let me finish my sentence, and he told the nurse, give him 50 of fentanyl. I was like, well, this is going to be interesting. So I was half sedated when the surgeon came in. And the surgeon said, we can't close it. I said, so what? And she's like, well, based on the looks of it, it looks infected. So we're going to take a little swab and see. So they did. I don't think it came, I think it came back as infected. I don't remember what infection. But there was like green stuff. It was gross. And so I was like, should I do a wound vac? I was like contemplating. I was like, hey, do I want to do the wound vac process or do I not? I was just, yeah, I've never had one before that, so I knew what they were because they go over all the risks for surgeries, and I hear like if it doesn't close, and I start looking things up, and yeah, so I was like, I knew what they were, but I thought like they would be that you would be sedated when they place it. So finally, I was like, okay, we'll do a wound vac, blah blah blah. So like, okay, cool. They bring the wound vac in my room, and I'm like, where's the gurney? They're like, what gurney? I'm like, to sedate me for this. And they're like, no, we don't need to sedate you. I said, so you're gonna take metal tweezers and start shoving stuff in there while I'm awake? Are you at least gonna use lidocaine? And they said, no. I was like, so what happens if it hurts? They're like, oh, we have some Dilaudid for you. I'm like, no. Sedate me or I'm not doing this. And the wound care nurse said, if we don't do this, it could get worse and it won't heal. And it'll be worse for you. You can go septic. And it's immediately when he said go septic, I was like, that's what caused me to get the emergency surgery. I'm going to listen this time. So I listened. And they gave me that Dilaudid, and I held still. I was like, oh, you're gonna poke me, you're gonna do something. It's not gonna be pretty. And so, yeah, it was uncomfortable. It didn't hurt as bad as I thought it would. It kind of tickled, as weird as that sounds. But, so, yeah, I was like, well, okay then. Um, so, yeah. Um, so, yep, the wound vac, 8 months at Mercy in a tiny hospital room on the trauma floor. I was like, when is this ever gonna end? And so finally, 8 months later, they discharged me without it. I went back to an independent living, and they told me to come back if it opened any wider, so I did, because it opened wider. And they put me back on the wound vac for another 2 or 3 months, and I was like, great, that's just fantastic. And then finally it was small enough to the point where it healed and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, they did that and no more. So yes. But no, I tried to get medical malpractice because I had the chief of surgery at Mercy. He's like, he shouldn't have done that. They should have put you on a wound vac to begin with if it wouldn't close. So I went through all that. But yeah, that was the malpractice. That was, yeah. Alright, well, I need to eat something. So that's all for this video. I'll post another one after this. I'm gonna start a new series called War Stories of Facilities. Basically, each video is gonna be like a story from like both funny drama. It's gonna be a whole series on stories of stuff that has happened to me in facilities. So I'll be posting that soon. Drop a like, subscribe, spread the word out. Alright? Well, it was nice talking to you guys, and I will post more later, alright? Alright, bye. Peace.